Yo, what's up, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry's Sistas review, season 3, episode 5, entitled Being a Boy. Excuse me. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comments if you like, and y'all know how I do. Let's get into this thing. So, it opens up, of course, where it left off last week, where Andy decides that she does not want to go through with the wedding. And so the girls feel like they should be with her when she tells Gary, but Andy wants to do it in private. Especially with this notion that she has told her girls too much or she has given out way too much information. I think this goes right in line with how she feels about what she relays to them. So Danny and Fatima, they have a few little cute homegirl moments, which I was definitely here for, where they find themselves being on the same page. Then Danny tells Fatima that she's watching her because the situation with Zach is just messy. It's just messy. And Fatima assures her that she really did not know, of course, that, he was Aaron's ex. So the ladies go to Gary to let him know that he needs to talk to Andy. But before that, he accuses them of talking her out of marrying him, which we all know wasn't true. So Danny, Sabrina, and Fatima gave Gary, a little piece of their minds. Sabrina, I was like, shut up. Because you could have kept that to your damn self. You didn't prove a point. You didn't say nothing. You basically sat up there trying to convince Gary that Andy is smart. Andy is intelligent. Andy is successful. She sound like the movie The Help. You is smart. You is kind. Oh my God. When she started breaking it down like that, that's the first thing I thought about. I'm like, baby girl, who you trying to convince? Yourself? Because you don't even believe that. And if Andy is those things, we know she is intelligent. She is a lawyer. She's not acting like it. She's not acting like she's smart. She's not acting like she's successful and that she does have something to lose in the midst of her being, attached to Gary's ass. So I was like, Sabrina, you could have kept that to yourself, baby. We didn't want to hear that. But anyway, so Gary says, I know y'all don't like me. Danny was like, she couldn't stand him and doesn't like his existence. I said, well, damn, Danny, but you know what, sis? I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Gary is a character who I cannot stand. I don't like Andy either. I'm not fond of them. I don't like neither one of their asses. So the women found out how Aaron knows Gary. Of course, Sabrina and Danny already are privy to Aaron. And so once they find out the connection, they are not impressed because they feel like whatever y'all got going down in that church, it is not working. It is not helping him. And y'all need to do something where we can see results faster. And the results that we are seeing, how can Aaron say that these are true results or these are sustaining, results, which I thought was fair questions or fair concerns for them to have, especially with everything that has happened with Andy and Gary. So Sabrina asks Aaron what's going on with him and Karen. And his Kool-Aid smile instantly appears and he tells them that he likes Karen and that he likes Karen a lot, but she's still stuck on Zach. He also finds out how Fatima fits into the equation as well. So now I did find it interesting that on Twitter, so many people were applauding Fatima and Danny for keeping it real and all that. However, the moment Danny and Sabrina referenced that Zach needs to stop looking for women to take care of him, after finding out that he was staying with Fatima, Fatima was like, no, I don't think that's what it is. And Danny's response was, no, maybe. And so Fatima was like, no, it's not. Zach is looking for Zach. He's just trying to find himself. And one of my favorite moments of the entire night is when Danny took a hold of Fatima's hand and held it and told Fatima that she was making excuses for Zach. Sabrina and Aaron both agreed. And Twitter world got real quiet. Because I'm like, Throughout the entire series, so many people have stated that Danny is the realest one. Danny is Zach's only friend. She's the only one who really cares about him. Danny gonna keep it real regardless, etc. But the moment she kicked some real spill to Fatima, all of a sudden Danny doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Please. To me, Danny was the MVP in that whole entire 18, 19 minutes of unnecessary moments in that first scene. Because some of that stuff should have been cut. Because it was just, it was a lot of repetitiveness going on. So I'm just going to hit I'm going to just hit the hot spots. But I really like that Danny said that, because so many people give Zach a lot of passes. I'm going to get into him a little later. Give a lot of passes. And I love that it was Danny who made the statement. It didn't come from Karen. It came from Danny, someone who a lot of people believe really, has a love for Zach in a friendship way. Like she really gets him, or she really, tries to be there for him. So I was thankful that it came from her, because to me, that really showed like, no, this stuff is real. You really should consider, why are you even letting this dude live with you when you don't even know him like that? So I love that. That was probably one of my best, even though it was very small, for me, it was impactful because it came from Danny. So, Karen and Zach. Now, let me go ahead and preface this. So for me, as a woman, I had a huge issue with this scene. Now, keep in mind, I said as for me. So as for Alicia, I had a big issue with this. So Tyler has a way of writing these men as if they are victims, even though they were hot dog shit to the women that they were in relationships with. And I hate the narrative that if you talk nicely to a man, if you pamper him, build him up, uplift him, etc., then he won't cheat on you or mistreat you, but he'll give you the best of himself. And that's bullshit. No amount of niceties will stop a man from doing what he really wants to do. Now, I'm not excusing Karen, because they both did some pretty foul things to each other in the midst of their relationship. But I do find it very interesting how Zach's part in that gets excused for the most part, and Karen is considered the bitter, mean woman. And I'm just like, it's just very interesting. So, Karen tells him she did not know that she was making him feel that way. She didn't know that all of that stuff was going on in his mind or in his head until he told her the day in the office in which they had sex. So for me, I'm thinking, wait a minute, because if I remember that scene correctly, yes, Zach expressed how he felt, but he was basically putting that blame on Karen. Like the way you would look at me when you got off work, the way that I would see you getting up in the morning, getting dressed to go about your day and make your money, and knowing that I couldn't help you. And I'm like, no, nigga, you could have helped her. You chose not to. And for whatever reason, she allowed your bum ass to live off of her. And I'm like, that was the thing that got me. And I'm not saying that Zach was in a position to pay her rent, because we all know that he wasn't. But nigga, you could have kept gas in her car. You could have paid a light bill or something. You could have put food in the house. For a man to even look a woman in her face after being with her for 3 years and telling her, I owe you $77,000. What in all the hell? I don't even understand that. I don't understand the logic in that. I just really don't. And then, the BS he was feeding her about, Fatima made him see what he was missing. Fatima did all of these things and it effed with his head because, she told me I could do whatever I want. And I really went out and did that shit. I said, what the hell? Okay. I said, well, first of all, Fatima is not the reason why you're in the program. That has everything to do with Karen's mom and Karen's mom boyfriend, Chris, who I need to see, because that man is fine and we ain't seen him in a month of Sundays. I don't know where he at, but for him to have such an involvement with this program, we have not seen him. So Tyler, I'm gonna need you to bring Chris back. I don't care about Karen mama right now, but that chocolate drop Chris, bring him back. Bring him out. Okay. So we got that. And my thing is, what has Fatima said? What has Fatima done to cause now, mind you, in Sistas' time, Zach and Fatima have probably only known each other for 10 days, if that, but I'm going to say 10. They've probably known each other for 10 days, at the absolute most 14, okay? And now I'm pushing it with that. And I'm like, what has this woman said to you? What, she hasn't done anything, in my personal opinion, any differently than what Karen did in the beginning. Now, I've stated this too. We have not seen Karen and Zach's relationship from the beginning. We don't know. Obviously, we know that it was good in the beginning. Majority of things are, and then you start hitting those bumps in the road, and when you don't deal with them effectively, it blows up in your face, to me, like Karen and Zach's situation. Especially when you do that break up, get back together, break up, get back together. It would never be the same. You always come back, and it's always going to be a little something missing from the time before. And so I'm like, so just specifically say what has Fatima done? Because if I remember correctly, excluding Sabrina, Karen, Andy, and Danny have all encouraged Zach, have all poured into him. And my thinking is, so what was the difference? And, you still see the comments about how bad, Karen talked down to him, and he doesn't need that. He needs a woman who's going to uplift him. And my thing is this: it is not a woman's responsibility to raise a man. It is not a woman's responsibility to pick up the slack where the mom left off. And I ain't even going to blame the mama for Zach, because at a certain point, you are a man. Get your shit together. You should have a certain pride in being able to do things as a person, just as a person. And so I'm like, and for me, the more I watch Zach and look at the way Zach move, I'm like, Tyler wrote Zach for women. Tyler literally, he wrote Zach for women. You wrote him enough where he's humorous. DeVal is fine as hell. And if he wasn't as attractive as he is, most people wouldn't even give a damn. They would be like, no, Karen, I wouldn't take that either, sis. But because he fine, you get away with a whole lot of stuff. And so, but I was like, to me, that scene was just very like, I hated that, because I'm like, why is Karen being blamed for your inadequacies? Why is she being blamed for how you felt as a man? That has nothing to do with her. Absolutely not. And so I'm going to get into a little bit later, like with Zach and Fatima, because, I'm just going to be honest. Some of the comments I see is like, I'm like, some people are very obsessed, really obsessed with the whole Fatima and Zach thing. And if I'm going to be honest, and I don't care who get mad, a lot of people only like them because they look cute together. There is no substance to Fatima and Zach. But to me, Fatima was one of the MVPs in this show too. But I'm going to talk about that when we get to that. So basically the scene with with Karen and Zach, he basically told her it's over. I'm done. And then he leans over, we're done. That was so damn dramatic. I'm like, get your ass out this shop. Karen, baby, you ain't losing no prize. Y'all been over. Y'all just had a setback and had sex. That doesn't mean y'all together. Let it. And I'm like, please let it be over. Please, for the umpteenth time. Y'all done said we over so much, it's sickening. Be over, please. Both of y'all just, Lord, just let it go. Just let go. Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. That's Tony Braxton. But anyway, so let's get into the scene that made no damn sense to me. Maurice and Q. What in all the hell was this scene? It was odd. It was incredibly odd. You knocked this man. You assaulted him. You drug him out. It's so stupid. You drug him out of the club. You brought him to your home to try to talk to him. Maurice was sitting up there sounding like a damn after school special. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? You're trying to talk to him from a place of like, what is he doing in his life? He need to get himself together. Why is he stealing? And I'm like, okay, this man doesn't know you, and you expect him to open up and be vulnerable with you. I don't know what the hell Tyler, and I know sometimes he do stuff and then he connects it, but then he'll put these type of scenes in there and you like, what the hell is this? And that's what I was thinking, because it just didn't make sense. It was too much, too soon. I didn't understand it. I'm like, why haven't you called the police on this man? I don't get it. I just really don't get it. And then after Q left, it was almost as if Maurice was like hurt by it. I don't know, but I'm done with that, because that scene didn't make a bit of sense to me. Oh, God. The two people I dislike the most on this show, Andy and Gary's ass. So, like I stated earlier, I can't stand either one of them. If it wasn't for the sake of the integrity of my reviews, I literally probably would fast forward through their scenes. I really would. They get entirely too much screen time for me. And they have the most played out and unnecessary storyline in this entire show. In this entire show. It is. Okay, so Andy comes out of the bathroom looking hella amazing in her red lingerie. I would give sis that. Gary, initially he was so tired, but when he saw Andy, he got excited. Maybe he wasn't as sleepy and tired as he thought. The the moment Andy brings up a new trick she wants to, try out on him, Gary turns into the abusive, manipulative asshole that we all know him to be. Long story short, he can't deal with the fact that Andy was with Paris, even though he had a whole ass wife at home who I'm sure he was still putting it down on as he was dealing with Andy. They both apologized 5,000 times each. I'm sorry. It's okay. Is the bulk of their dialogue. I don't care about them because, excuse me, because I feel like at this point, we are literally watching a carousel or a merry-go-round and just going round and round, and they're not getting anywhere. It was just the fact that for me, it was just the fact that he was so stern about not being with her, about not being sexually involved with Andy because he just can't deal with it. And I'm like, what? So you were going to marry Andy and do what for the honeymoon? This wasn't something that just popped up with Gary. This wasn't something that just, her wanting to try this new trick just sparked, this side of him. No, you felt this way. And I'm glad the wedding didn't go through, because my thing is this. So you were going to do all of this. Those are conversations you have before you get married, before you propose. Like, this is something that I'm dealing with. I am working through it in therapy at the church. I do have this thing. It's hard for me to deal with this. But that's so controlling, and I can't stand that mindset. Like, it's okay for you to have sex with your wife. I mean, she is your wife. Jasmine was your wife. Excuse me. You want Andy to be accepting of that, but you can't deal with the fact that she had sex with Paris, and she only had sex with Paris once. Not that it's any of Gary's business, because they wasn't together when it happened. It's just that particular mindset. Like, I can do what I want to do, but you don't do. You don't do it. And it made me think about Zach too. His may come off a bit humorous, or is written to be humored, but it's like when Karen initially told him, like, hey, it's over. I want to see where this thing go with Aaron. And when they were in the hotel, what happened? Zach broke in because, Pam Big Mouth gave him a tip, but you didn't have to go there. And then if we be all the way honest, Zach was trying to bag Fatima while she was driving him to the hotel where Karen was. And I'm just like, these double standards on this show, and don't get me wrong, because this is a true depiction of that. But it's like, damn, come on. But I can't stand Gary. And I think Andy was pissing me off too, because I'm like, the man and I already told you about how he feeling right now, and why you kissing all on him. Baby, I read this comment and they said Andy lipstick must be from the Dollar Tree for it to be coming off on him like that. I hollered. I thought that was so funny, because when she started kissing on him, I said, well, damn. Andy, what kind of lipstick you got on, boo? Like, that was just, what that whole scene just pissed me off. It just pissed me off because I can't stand them, and they seem too much. So let's go to Danny and Preston. So when Danny gets home, Preston is listening to his Kentucky bluegrass music. And so, she cuts it off. She basically tells him kind of the same thing that Zach did about how it sounds or make her feel or something like that. And so Danny, she lays down on his lap or whatever, and Preston is so sweet. Preston does have some things about himself that I'm not too fond of. Basically, like, I don't think Preston is emotionally mature. I don't, and I'm saying that because of when he doesn't know how to deal with things, he leaves her. He doesn't call, he doesn't, work it out, and I'm just not too fond of that for Danny, because I don't think Danny can really deal with that either. I wouldn't want to deal with that, and I just think that's a con, or a scratch on his character. Like, that's something I wouldn't want to deal with as a woman either. So she tells him about, her day and about what happened with Andy and Gary. And he tells her that when I marry you, I'll make sure you know about it. And Danny's eyes like almost popped out the damn sockets. And I think it really freaked her out. Not that they are in a position to get married or anything, but I honestly feel that Danny feels like Preston is moving a lot faster than she's prepared for. And so she goes in the bathroom to call Sabrina. And she's freaking out, and Sabrina's telling her like to calm down. And he didn't propose to you. And then she said something. She said, "You're acting like me when I'm talking to you about what's light bright name? Calvin." When I'm talking to you about Calvin, I'm like, yeah, because she was saying how sweet Preston is and how he always says the right things. And then he talks about cows. And I'm like, well, he's white. He works on the farm. They eat steak all day. Where do you think these steaks coming from, sis? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I would expect him to have a very different, conversation points. I would expect him to have that simply because of how he was raised and what he does. He is white. He is not white with flavor. He's white. So I would expect the conversations to be a little different. But I think that just really freaked out Danny. And I would also just love to see Danny too, like whatever I do believe that she has a reason to be a little protected or reserved around him when it comes to her emotions, because we know he comes from a racist family. We know that he is privy to, go away for days without communicating. And so I understand her, her pause, but I really would love, as the season goes on, I would love to see those things talked about from Danny's perspective. So Zach and Fatima, basically Sabrina tells Danny that she's gonna go to Karen's house because she needs to talk to her, like she's going to check on her. I'm gonna tell you what, out of all the craziness that happened on last night episode, Sabrina pissed me off the most, but we'll get to that in a little minute. So Zach and Fatima, I'll say this. I'm not gonna go into detail about the sex scene because we all saw it and it was what it was. But Fatima was the MVP, and I say that because game recognized game. So after Fatima made the decision, before I get into that. So Zach shows up. He lets her know that he has been drinking Hennessy. He don't care about Karen and her friends. He want to be with her. And Fatima isn't stupid. This is why I say Fatima definitely a Virgo. Okay, so so after Fatima made the decision to F Zach, you notice that she didn't allow Zach to kiss her. And we all know when you doing what you're doing and there's no kissing involved, that's a universal. I think for me, that's a universal thing. When you're not letting this person kiss you, okay. And he tried twice. The first time she moved her head, and then the second time she pushed his head where she wanted it to be. And there was such a huge power dynamic in the midst of that spoke volumes. And I think that so many people were just intrigued by the actual act of them having sex that I think a lot of stuff just went over people's head. Fatima is, I feel Fatima is very intentional with what she does. So not only did she not let Zach kiss her, but in every position that they were in, there was no eye contact. There was no eye contact. There was none of that. She really effed him, and that was just it. That's all it was. And so the people that come in my inbox, some of y'all I really love, and I really appreciate you guys so much. And then there are some, and I'm just like, are we watching the same show? Literally, are we watching the same show? And I think that oh God, it was like, oh, Fatima is so in love with Zach, and they're just wonderful. And I said, no. No. Fatima's smart. Fatima's very smart, and she's smart enough to know that at this point in time, Zach is not to be trusted with something as valuable as her heart. And I think that it can be a lost knowing that Fatima has been incredibly hurt by someone who she really loved that ended up leaving her for an ex, and then the dude married the ex. And and she said it herself to Andy, how she can't compete with history. That she can't compete with history. And I'm like, to find herself back into a situation like that where you know the dude is still in love with his ex, still love his ex, and you right in the midst of it. So my prediction is Fatima just gonna use that for sex. It is not gonna be no relationship. It is not gonna be any of that. And I know I saw some people that were like, please let Fatima just have some good moments. They just became a couple. I'm like, they're not a couple. Did you not see what happened during that sex scene? There was no love. There was no concern. That was a straight F. Okay, that's all that was. And I respect Fatima because it's like, hey, I know I'm not gonna get myself emotionally involved with you, but I will have sex with you because I enjoy you like that. And they both single. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Get it, Fatima? Hey, man, get it. So Sabrina and Karen. So this is why I said Sabrina pissed me off more than anybody on this show. She tied with Gary and Andy. But Sabrina had all the audacity in the world to ask Karen if she was jealous of Andy and Gary. Then she says she just had to ask because she doesn't understand what's going on. What, Sabrina? I don't even understand what the hell Sabrina was talking about because I don't understand what's going on. What don't you understand? And I'm gonna do another video on is Candy. I guess that could be Karen and Andy name. Candy could be Andy and Karen's name. But I didn't mean to say that. Andy, who is jealous of that? Who is jealous of her? Who is jealous of Gary? So I'm like, for you to even bring that up, because I just found it very interesting how Sabrina has forgotten how much in an uproar she was when she saw Andy and Gary at the hospital and all that stuff happened with Jasmine. It was Sabrina who informed the audience that Andy was abused in college. She wasn't letting Andy out of her sight. She was so concerned about what was going on, but yet you and Karen face asking her, I'm not understanding what's going on. So basically what I took from that is you're not understanding why Karen is responding the way that she is responding. But we ain't going to get on. See, I ain't going to go too much into detail with that because like I said, I am going to do another video tonight. So y'all be on the lookout for that. Is Karen jealous of Andy? I just, if you are jealous of your friends, and this is real spill, if you are jealous of your friends, that is a problem. I do understand when you see somebody, something is happening great in someone's life and it make you realize you got to get up on your game and you got to get things happening. But to have a sense of jealousy in your heart towards your friend, that is a problem. And then for another friend to even have the audacity to ask you. And my thing is, Sabrina, you've been around camera long enough. Y'all all are aware of Andy being abused in college. You think that a friend will want another friend to get back in a situation like that? What the hell is there to be jealous of? I don't even get, so, Lord. Sometimes I wish they just walked around with tape. And then when Sabrina said something stupid, they just tape her mouth together because it's like the things that she says at times, I don't understand it. And the reason why I said I was going to do another video about that is because I have had so many people message me or email me about the fact that they believe that Karen is jealous. But then when I ask specifically, what is she jealous of? You can't tell me nothing. What would she be jealous of? And I loved her response. She said the only issue I have with her being with him is her being with him. He is abusive. He's abusive. He's manipulating. He's controlling. And we saw it on last night's episode. Now it's sex. Now you can't perform. Now you can't get hard. Now you can't, because you can't get it out of your mind. Nigga, what? Gary is an asshole. Gary is a complete and utter asshole. So basically Sabrina was telling, Andy, Karen, that she needs to call Andy, like, make sure you call her. And Karen basically told her to get the hell out of her house. And I saw so many people saying, I don't like the way that Karen spoke to Sabrina. I said, hell, I thought Sabrina got off easy because if that were me, I wouldn't have been so nice. And that's real talk. I wouldn't have been so nice. So as Sabrina is leaving, Aaron appears. And she leaves, and Karen is trying to figure out why Aaron was there because he didn't call. And we found out, yeah, he actually did call you, but he couldn't determine if your phone was off or if she blocked him. And so she assures him that, he wasn't blocked. And she just didn't feel like talking. So he was about to go. And so she was like, well, you're already here, so you might as well stay. And I was like, So basically, she was like, I know why you here. You here to check on me like Brina and everybody else. And he was like, I'm here to make love to you. So what's up? He didn't say so what's up, but he said, I'm here to make love to you. I said, what? I have conflicting thoughts. I have conflicting emotions about this, okay? Because one, there's just a lot going on. There was just a whole lot of stuff going on with Karen and Zach and Fatima and Aaron in that whole toxic square. There's a lot going on. And the one thing that I can rock with is that Aaron knows that Karen still has feelings for Zach. So he's not walking into this blindly. So in my mind, you have had to already calculate the possibilities of what could happen if you get sexually involved with Karen. And so from the preview, okay, it is very evident that they had sex because Karen is smiling. Karen is skipping. Baby, let me tell you something. Baby, good D will change your whole mood. It will change your whole attitude. It will change your whole lease on life. And Karen looked like, I said, that I ain't never seen sis smile so much. I really haven't. But I think that even though Tyler gets on our nerves with a lot of stuff that he does, is one thing that he do that I caught on to is that whenever he has Fatima and Zach in this sexual scene, there is always a difference of dynamic, because he'll have them have sex and then he'll go to Karen and Aaron, who are either laid up in the bed sexually frustrated, or they're having a conversation about them, and they'll be having something meaningful that they're discussing. It's not just sex. It's not just, whatever. And I've always found that interesting. And to me, it's just the dynamic of the relationship. I don't think that Tyler has ever written or depicted Zach and Fatima as this couple. I think he has demonstrated from the very beginning what this is with them. And some girl wrote, I think it was on Facebook, and she was like, I don't understand why Zach and Fatima don't have that many scenes together, or their scenes are very small. And I said, well, I think he's saying that there is no substance to them. What do they need a lot of airtime for? There's nothing there but sex. And I think that people want to see something. Well, don't get me wrong, some people don't even give a damn, but if they're going to be together, or if you're trying to sell this story, I would like to see more, because like I stated, it's hard for me to believe that Fatima and Zach are going to be anything, because all they do is have sex. And at the end of the day, that doesn't make a great relationship. That's not the foundation. And so even in the earlier scene, when she tried to come at Gary about the foundation not being right, I said, Fatima, sis, because your foundation ain't right either, boo. No, no. I know you was trying to preach a sermon, but I'm gonna need you to slip that church finger up and have a seat. Have several, because your foundation is not good either. So I just found it very interesting. Like, I actually enjoyed this episode. It was still extra, and they still pissed me off, but I think it was better than what we've been seeing. That's just me. I was shocked that I said that, but Tyler did his normal. You threw a scene in there that didn't make no damn sense with Maurice and Q. Andy and Gary still pissing us off. You know what I'm saying? So next week, I forgot to write the stuff down, but we see that, oh Lord, Sabrina is firing Jacoby, which is why he is yelling at her about sexual harassment. They're both wrong. I don't see why he is getting fired. I know people was like, well, he hit Calvin. Well, Calvin, number one, you assaulted them. You pushed Jacoby. You grabbed, what's the girl name? You grabbed Sabrina. To me, Jacoby was defending himself, and he's going to lose his job because of that. Now, what if Jacoby would have let Calvin beat her ass and just stood by because he didn't want to lose his job? So my thing is, what I should have just let this man grab you and assault me? No, and that's why you need a security guard. Y'all ain't got one in the bank. Who? Anyway, we ain't gonna get into that. But I really felt bad for Jacoby because my thing is, to me, he hasn't done anything warranted for him to lose his job. We see that Fatima basically tells Zach, like, basically what I said, she ain't putting her heart in this because you're still in love with Karen. And then there's the episode, excuse me, the preview that showed after the show where he was telling Fatima, like, now you sound like Karen, or now you acting like Karen, one of the two. And I'm like, nigga, can you keep Karen name out your mouth? Please, can we go one episode? And I'm like, to me, Tyler's just showing that what Zach told Karen was a lie. You're not done because you can't keep this woman name out your mouth. You still talk about your ex. It ain't gonna work, people. I'm sorry. It's a team of supporters. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. But you know, we see Gary in the kitchen smiling and kikiing all on the phone, and Andy want to know who he talking to. He was like, well, why you want to know that? What, nigga, you don't have no, first of all, you don't even ask. You take her phone. I said, Lord, I'm so sick of these idiots. I'm so sick of them. With Karen, we just gonna go ahead and assume that she had sex with Aaron, and Aaron must have put it down because baby girl is looking like a whole nother different person up here in these streets. So yeah, that's all I have for this episode. It was interesting to say the least. I didn't know I talked this long, but yeah. So I will holler at y'all later. Hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode. I wouldn't be mad if a tree fell into Andy and Gary's bedroom and, you know, took him out. I wouldn't be sad about it. No, let me say this. Why did Tyler change Andy's bed? Because I could have sworn that bed was bigger than that. That's a twin bed. Because I said, why the hell Gary look like he's taking over the entire thing? I said, Tyler, you should be ashamed of yourself. You got them two, you got that big ass man and this woman in this twin bed. I'm gonna need you to do better, bro. And while you at it, get Danny a bigger mattress too. Because I'm tired of that. Lord Jesus, let me get off these people. All right, I'll holler at y'all later. Y'all be safe out there. Until next time. One.